that we need to process our karma, that of manipulation and control, surrender, let go, realign with a natural flow, and trust that we will get exactly the right circumstances to reveal who we really are. There's a lot of inertia to change within society right now, because when people realize that what is required, that surrender is required, to let go of the things we think we need, to stop consuming the stuff we don't need, then there is quite a bit of resistance that people encounter in doing that. So resistance to giving up a job, resistance to, consuming less, using less energy, resistance to the food that we eat. What's a balanced, healthy diet? What really does raise your vibration and liberate your soul? When people start realizing these things, there is a resistance to that. And that is quite a difficult issue. In fact, in my truth, humanity has been going around this circle for centuries, for a long, long time, trapped in this never-ending merry-go-round of outer distraction. We're continually creating ever new distractions to pull us into this drama.
Why do people get upset with new ideas? Because it means that they have to confront themselves and their core beliefs. And it's much easier to ridicule anybody who doesn't fit in your box than to listen. And the new age, new thought, new paradigm people like me scare people, because the idea is to look at life in a new way, in a selfless way, without dogma, without somebody telling you how to believe it, without a priest or a rabbi or a teacher telling you this is the way, the only way. And how ridiculous that there could only be a way to perceive God, for example. How tragic that anyone would think that there's a scripture or a textbook or dogmatic approach to that very personal experience of your divinity.
And one of the main issues around religion is that whilst at one time it might have been beneficial to look to an enlightened leader for guidance, for realization, there comes a point when you realize that seeing something out there as separate to you and seeing someone out there as giving you your power is ultimately disempowering.
Any religion that teaches you to be afraid of God because you'll be punished if you don't obey the doctrine, I look at that as a control mechanism, a power mechanism, and that it doesn't really encourage spirituality in people. It just transfers their obedience and disempowers.
I feel that for various reasons we have been disconnected from our true spirituality. We've been disconnected from our authentic appreciation of reality, that we've become so engrossed in the whole physical nature of reality that that's become our sole interpretation of what's really going on around us. And in many cases the religions have been then used to, probably in many cases with benevolent intent, but been used to try to control people, been used to try and bring people to a common understanding, but have used control to do that, in my view. When spirituality is anything but control, it's the opposite of control. It's complete letting go. So we've made this false identification, and the church, science, and politics have all been a part of that game. But that game is now changing as more of us waken up.
I follow the Robert Anton Wilson philosophy, which is that you don't have to. If you start believing something, then you start to restrict yourself, because once you start to believe something, then you start to close down what your acceptance of information. If you've got something you think is the way things are, and a piece of information comes in, it's what Wilson would have called a damned thing. It doesn't fit in. So you try and get rid of it, you try and ignore it, you throw it away. And then you shut down into what he would call a reality tunnel. So if you start to limit yourself by believing things, then your mind starts to shut down. But the way to go that Wilson would go about things is to investigate things by suspending your disbelief, immersing yourself in the belief system, investigating it fully, and then coming out of that belief system and becoming objective again, and then weighing it up with all the other things that you've looked at.
We are seeing structures break down that have been the way of this planet, and huge change sociologically. Lots of changes emotionally, the family unit, the perception of life, and the basic necessities, a sense of what used to give us security. It's going. The value systems are shifting. It's very exciting, and it is not an easy process, but we're going through it anyway.
Fear not, because if you don't think you can change the system, it's changing. The very fact that we're waking up is going to cause it to break down, and it's going to happen very soon. Some people are waking up to this expansion of consciousness and understanding the lower vibrational harmony that exists here. That's why this society is beginning to topple, is one of the key reasons. It's not going to happen on one key day or year like 2012. That's just symbolic. It's symbolic of underlying shifts of consciousness. You know, Mother Earth, her center of consciousness is centering in a higher plane, which will happen, which will complete around about 2012. And the impact of that is being felt externally in the physical realm. So those shifts of consciousness are causing this increase in polarity, this where more and more sensing the sense of lack and the sense of loss, you know, as the energies and food gets scarcer. People are feeling that. But the other group who are tuning in are realizing the purpose to all of this, that we have to come back into alignment.
And I think that we are looking at a shift that is not that date, although the day after that date will be a big relief, and we're going to feel a huge change energetically, simply because all of that fear is going to be off the table. But I'd like to just suggest that the change is now. We're in it. It's a paradigm. It's not a date. And I would also just like to add, before we go on, that the Mayan calendar speaks of the end of time, not the end of life.
There's not going to be some major falling apart of the earth in that sense at all. She's going to go on for hundreds, thousands of years after that. What we are seeing, however, as I've spoken of earlier, is that the shift of consciousness to a higher vibrational reality is mirroring, is rippling outwards and inviting everyone to join that vibration. So those ripples are causing anything of the lower vibration to be questioned. And, you know, in the higher vibration, in the fifth dimension, there is no such thing as hoarding energy. There is no such thing as lack of energy. There is receiving energy to do what we're given to do, aligned with the consensus reality, the co-creative plan. And there is then giving that energy in terms of our own expression. That's a fifth dimensional truth.
The question of defining dimensions is pretty tricky, because we have the scientific approach to that. In fact, Michio Kaku, who is our leading theoretical physicist, who says there are 10 dimensions. And then there are the metaphysicians who experience connections from different dimensions and try to describe what they're like. But the truth is, as long as we're in the third dimension, it is hard to imagine. And even I, although I claim, and hopefully people embrace, that I have that connection with the sixth dimension, have trouble imagining it because I'm not in it. So what I can say is this: the third dimension appears to be a very visually oriented density where there is shadow, darkness, and light. And the nature of that density is polarity. And as you move up higher, although the Syrians say, don't get yourself all freaked out about higher or lower, because that is a human sense of hierarchy. Because the truth is, even though we're in the third dimension, of course we're multidimensional beings. We don't hold the consciousness necessarily that we are, oops, I just popped into the fifth dimension. Oops, I'm working on the fourth. We behold ourselves in this reality and we think that this is what we are, but we're not. We're all over the place. What happens when you dream? You could probably not call that a three-dimensional reality. Where are you when you're dreaming? Where am I when I'm hearing these voices? Well, the psychics that can talk to spirits that have gone over. What dimension is this? We get pretty heady about it. We want a definition because three-dimensional reality is matter.
You know, I experience myself now living a truly multidimensional life, a truly fifth-dimensional life. And what I'm caused to see is that how every key moment in our lives has a deeper meaning. And I was suddenly able to understand what that meaning was. And that the purpose of it is self-realization, to help us unfold something more complete and magical about ourselves.
We are in such a speedy cycle. We want everything right now. And we have access to so much information that even in the metaphysical circles, people want it right now. You want to be a master, you want to be a Reiki master, you want to be a spiritual master yesterday. You want that third eye open, you want everything to be instantaneous. But the truth is, true spirituality is a progression through your life. And I like to teach people that it's the learning, the seeking, that is probably more wonderful than the knowing.
About this life where we're not supposed to get the answer. Because you just work your way towards it. It's about the journey. It's not about finding the answer and then relaxing and turning the television on,